Well, I got all the strips cut. Um, Unfortunately, I made a decision to not use dust collection while running my table saw. I just ran it outside. Figured I'll just sweep it up. But man, on a windy day, it just blew everywhere. My whole garage is full of sawdust and it's just all over the place. What a mess. Anyhow, lots of sawing to get these strips done. Still got to go through the planer to get cleaned up, and then through the router to put their beads and their coves on, and then we're ready to build. So in order to cut that long, feature strip and not have it, flop over the end of my table saw, and actually, before I had these built, it did flop over and it actually popped a couple of the glue joints, which hopefully I've repaired. But anyhow, I've made these in-feed and out-feed tables for my power tools, and obviously I don't have a lot of space, so I can't just build full-size tables. And so what I've done, since they don't really have to be super heavy duty, they don't have to hold a heavy load, or anything like that, I've just made these in-feed and out-feed tables out of a piece of hardboard. It's just a 1/4-inch piece of hardboard, and then some 2x4s and some other scraps I had laying around. I made these pockets underneath that my roller stands can sit on, and so I can just set those up on top of these roller stands here, and they stay pretty firm, and basically allow you to set up almost 15 or 16 feet of outfeed, another 7 or 8 feet of outfeed, or infeed, I mean, depending on any gap between the table and the tabletops, and works pretty good, actually. I used it on the feature strip, and it kept the feature strip from sagging on both ends as it was being fed into the table saw and as it was coming out. And we'll get a look at them set up a little bit later, because I'm going to use them to rip all the strips that this pile of cedar on the floor is going to become. It should keep those nice and straight. And the neat thing about these is, since I made them out of to rest on top of these roller stands, I should be able to use them with almost, if not all, of my power equipment, almost all of it. And so I should be able to use them on the in and out of my joiner, my router table, my planer, and my table saw, and maybe even my bandsaw. And I think that'll give me a lot better opportunity to have good, straight, clean cuts that are well supported on both the in and the outside. Most what I read by the experts say that they just use a butt joint when they're planking, and obviously they're the experts, and that's certainly the way to do it. I could not find planking that was long enough in any respect, so I have to put joins in every plank that's going to go in at least the full length of the canoe. So I've decided to use scarf joints for that. That's a common joint that's used in boat building. And basically all it is you're cutting the ends of your boards on an angle, and then you're putting them together like that. And you're gluing them. So I tinkered with some glue. I've used some polyurethane glue. I didn't like the way that worked. It kind of was all bubbly and kind of left voids at the end, especially when you're planing it down afterwards. I haven't tried the Tite-bond glue because I tried epoxy, and I think that's probably the best method, at least for me. I'm using a 5-minute epoxy, so it's a pretty quick set. And because I'm using epoxy, I'm not planing the angles smooth on my scarf joints. I think that for epoxy, leaving the saw marks there, give it a little bit of teeth to grab onto, as well as being penetrating into the wood and everything. So to me, the joining part is not going to show, because it's on the it'll be what's on the vertical surface of the joint. So instead of being like this, it'll be like that on the boat, and all you'll see is this little feathered end on either side. So what you're going to get is a lot of surface area. That glue is going to make contact, and with that little extra rigid, saw mark piece, the epoxy is going to just grip right a hold of that. So it should be, very strong. And I think once I'm stripping out the boat, it'll go a lot faster than having to stop and do a butt joint and clamp little pieces of wood to both sides of it, and take that all off when you're doing the next one, etc., and so on. So to me, I think while I'm taking a lot of time up front here to do these scarves, I do think that in the long run it'll be stronger. And of course, the boat will be covered in fiberglass, so that'll certainly give it its strength anyhow, but it'll be stronger, it'll be easier to put together, and faster to do the entire hull. So I'm using an 8-to-1 scarf joint, and basically that's 8 inches long for a 1-inch thick board that you're going to join together. So of course my boards are much thinner, so they're going to be a lot shorter. And here's what they look like right now. So you can see this angle here on the end is cut, and this piece will come over top of it like that, and there'll be glue in between. And then you can sand it or plane it smooth, or both probably, when the epoxy's all dry. Anyhow, so I think I've already put together 24 or 25 of these. So we're going to go ahead and do these 8 all at once. You don't want to have the joints all at the same place in the boat, so I am staggering them. You probably won't notice that because the ends are a little bit shorter or longer on both sides. So it should give some differential, and then I'll kind of mix and match when I get to stripping the actual strips, and kind of try to avoid lining up any of the joints that I make. And also, of course, I'm trying to match colors of the wood and the grain as best I can. So we'll see, of course, in the long run how it's all going to turn out. But that's basically the choice I made here. And it's taken me a lot of time to do these. I mean, I to get this all set up, to get them cut, to get them glued up. It's probably going to take me 3 days, and not three 8-hour days, but still, it's going to take me over, a course of a few days to get this accomplished. Anyhow, so that's what I'm doing. All right, so here's my setup for routing the Bead and Coves. Got the strip here. You can see one of those scarf joints. Got my router table all set up. You can see I'm using some feather boards, and those will hold down the piece as well as hold it against the fence, you know, while the length of it, you know, rides up against that bead bit. And then it'll just go out on the outfeed tables, and it'll probably just hang over just a little bit over the end. But anyhow, this is the first piece, so we're getting ready to go. So here's the bit that I'm using. It puts the bead part of the Bead and Cove system on, and my router actually takes both 1/2-inch shanks and 1/4-inch shanks, and so you can see this is basically just going to put a little round, like a little bull nose kind of on, actually a bead. A bull nose is just half of a bead, on your plank. It's got a 1/2-inch shank, and that really helps, reduces the vibration, and also the heat. I wouldn't probably be able to touch this bit right now had I been using a 1/4-inch shank bit. And here's the difference between this Canoe bit, which is, like I said, a 1/2-inch shank, and just a regular beading bit. That's a 1/4-inch shank. Okay, so that's exactly the same cutting profile. It's a 1/4-inch bead, you know, but it's got a 1/4-inch shank, and you can see there's a significant difference between these two, you know, these two bits. And that extra, you know, width, I think, helps, or extra diameter, circumference, helps with, you know, keeping the heat and the vibration down. So I used this one when I built the bookcases, just to work on some of the moldings on it. And there was quite a few burn marks that I had to work on trying to sand out. This one I just did a whole pile of you know, these strips for this Canoe, and there aren't any burn marks on it at all. So part of that's, you know, due to the fact that I used a lot more diligence in how I set up my router table, you know, with the feather boards and everything to hold it down and keep it going through straight. But part of it is that bit. And then the other other component of that bit set, the Canoe bit set, is this one, and this is the Cove component. And you can see it's just like a little round profile there that's going to cut out this section, you know, the next time I run these things through the router. So pretty nice little drill bit, or router bit set, just on Amazon. It was relatively inexpensive, and a very nice you know, little kit that'll store these bits, you know, for their lifetime. So tomorrow we'll be doing this one, and then I'll build the molds and we'll be ready to go. Well, I decided to put the Bead and Cove on the feature strip instead of 2 beads, mainly because I forgot to put the double cove on the other one. So so there's a pretty good picture of it, I think. There's what the strips look like. think. Anyhow, so the idea is that the bead goes into the cove and they lock together, and they can turn a little bit, so you know they can conform to the shape of the hole a little better than if you had just used you know, square pieces, square edged pieces. Anyhow, so there is the pile for now, at least. There were a few pieces that I didn't mill, and hopefully I won't have to use them, because that means getting everything out and going through the whole process again. But for now, here's what we have. We got your right and your left side feature strip, and then all of these different strips that'll have to be, you know, kind of matched to make sure we're not lining up those scarf joints, and you know, that we have the color evenly distributed throughout the boat. But it's on to the molds after this. Okay, so there's the stacks. They're all matched and they've been flipped around, you know, so that we don't have the scarves lining up. You know, no, it's basically the right and the left side. So this would be your shear plank in the second plank, then your feature strip, and then just a series of planking that are going to go, you know, through the hull. Hopefully I've got enough here milled up. I've got most of it 18-foot strips, and got a few of them about 13 foot. Hopefully those will, you know, fit in properly as we, you know, work our way down to the bottom of the boat. And then a whole lot of little short strips that we'll use in the bottom of the boat and in both the bow and the stern, because they rise up a little bit higher than the shear at the bow and the stern. So hopefully we've done enough milling. I'm storing them like this, so they're already pre-sorted, and they're taped together with painter's tape so that you know, the edges don't get bumped, because that cove edge is very fragile. I've already kind of chinked up a few of them. So anyhow, you just, you know, I think as I have them set out of the way while I'm setting up the molds and whatnot, I want them to be as damage free as possible. So anyhow, so we're ready to go set up the molds. So time to do some lofting.